For you, beautiful lady. It's like,
We built a hot tub time machine for you.
never be the reason why you don't sleep at night.
I hate tipping.
The conch or gonk or conch, gronk.
Even when she's taking you to the cleaners and the negotiations.
Say that again. 200 what?
Around 250 doors of residential. Yeah.
I'm gonna call my mom after this, guys.
Had to pull out all of the fuses and stuff like that to try to conserve as much power as we could for our airplane.
I swear this guy was like, your style is so nice. I was like, oh my God.
The back half of him, and it was like ripping his flesh.
Oh my. So I will not be coming over.
No, if he's gonna be like this, then I'm gonna use it. And we were feeding them flaming hot Cheetos.
If it gets you 300,000 off, I'm a poor, stupid little girl too.
It's not rocket science. Like, anybody can be a landlord.
Consistency.
Yeah, I was gonna say consistency.
Stick with it, guys.
There you go, Mike.
Stick with it. If you like something, stick with it. This has just turned into like a dating podcast.
Yeah.
Welcome to Weekly Deposit, episode 7. We have an illustrious guest with us today, a behemoth in the real estate investing sphere, a real estate broker, a go-getter, a commercial property owner, one of the toughest negotiators I've had the pleasure of working with, and most important title I can give her is an overall great person with a contagious smile, even when she's taking you to the cleaners and the negotiations. Alexandra Haider, right? With us today, please. Let's give a warm welcome to her. Thank you for coming in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you like that intro? I know you were a little, you're like, oh, where's he going with this?
Yeah,
We had some good negotiations.
We've had some great negotiations, right? Some back and forth, but it's always good. I like it. I like when you can negotiate with someone and it's like, there's not some personal animosity or anything.
Oh,
it's just
nothing
strictly,
like that.
it's strictly business.
Yep.
So we kind of wanted to start talking to you a little bit more about other stuff before we get into the real estate sphere, the investing, the commercial, all that good stuff, what you're kind of, most well known for. I think we want to start with the part that I like the most, and I always snoop on your Facebook for, is your travel photos. Traveling, right? Because you are an avid traveler. You and Mike, you love to travel. You love to go out, especially nice beaches, sunny places. You guys love to go out there.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your travels. What was the last place you traveled to, and kind of what was the highlight of that trip?
So we're actually heading to Jamaica tomorrow.
Yes. I was gonna mention that.
Yeah, but we were in the Bahamas last month, which was fun. It was actually for a real estate conference. So,
Which conference were you at?
So we're part of Commercial Academy, and that was the Diamond Inner Circle.
Oh, okay.
So it's an event led by Scott Shield, and we were there. It was a couple days of the conference, and so you're in a cold conference room. And
is it like 8 hour a day, and then you get to go enjoy the rest of the day, or how is that?
So usually it's 8 hour days, and then they have stuff planned in the evening. Mm-hmm. But we had a few days that were just free days, and we swam with the pigs, and it was both days actually.
And Mike went with you too,
He
right?
did. Yep.
By the way, Mike Haider is her husband, and we will kind of get into Mike a little bit later. But yes, so Bahamas, What was probably the highlight of that trip? It probably wasn't the cold conference room, right?
I learned a lot, but it was definitely going to swim with the pigs, basically. It was really fun.
Oh.
So they made us a conch salad, and we went 2 times. One time was like an actual event, and then the second day was this really sketchy last minute adventure with a guy who definitely probably should not have been taking us out. And they were feeding these little, it was not the real pig island, it was a different one where they just took a few pigs out of a cage. And then we were feeding them flaming hot Cheetos, which I thought was horrible. And it was very weird. And then they were these drunk guys were out on these boats, and they're like, you want a banana boat ride? And we were like, no. And then we looked out in the ocean with all the people they took out. It had tipped over, and the banana boat was just floating behind the other boat, and all these people were in the ocean.
Oh no.
The group. So
sounds very sketchy.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
Hilarious.
Those Caribbean places, I went to Turks and Caicos, and it is the weirdest. There's no actual business or this. It's just random guy came up to me. He's like, you want to go to Prince's house? And I'm like, Prince's house? And his name was Prince, right? So one of the jet ski guys' name was Prince. And I'm sitting there like, why would I want to go to your house?
Right.
And he's like, no, artist, Prince, from United States. I was like, oh, yeah, sure. Let's go to Prince's house. And it's just like very weird.
Yeah. We had like unlimited drinks and they were in old milk jugs.
That's where the unlimited comes from.
Right?
Their house.
Wait, so the sandwiches you had, tell us more about that, because that was also something I tried going to the Caribbean.
Sandwiches?
No,
we didn't get you sandwiches.
No. What is it called? The thing in the shell.
Oh, conch.
Conch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had no idea what this was, and everyone was like,
good.
they're like, yo, you have to try this, that. And then I think where I messed up is I saw the actual thing first.
Oh, yeah.
And then they asked you to try it, and I was like, no.
So they pulled it out of the ocean. This was in like the legitimate tour that we went on. And so they pulled it out of the ocean. They cut it up in front of us and then threw it in a salad with like cucumbers and tomatoes. It was so good.
Wait, what is this? What is it?
It's a conch.
It's a conch, and Alec will throw it up there. It's basically like in a
It's like
seashell.
It's
this like slimy looking thing, bro. It's not
like an oyster looking?
kind of, but it's just like
Gross.
this slime
It looks
thing.
like a hermit crab shell, like
Yeah.
one of those spirally ones.
But it's not a crab. It's like a slime.
it's like
Yeah.
a snail.
And you ate it?
Yeah, like a snail. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It
like,
was good?
It's what you're supposed to eat there.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to eat.
Yeah,
What?
my buddy ate it too, and he was like, it's super good. Again, I was like, But what I did like you said, the seafood is super fresh there.
Yeah, really good.
So when I was in Turks, like the guy was like, oh, you want lobster or fish or this or that? And he would literally be out there catching it.
Yes, so
And then
awesome.
Fresh catch. Okay.
Fresh catch.
Yeah. Now I would like that. The conch or gronk.
Spelled like conch, which I thought it was conch.
Oh.
Yeah, but they
Well,
pronounce it differently.
conch,
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the most recent trip, and it was awesome.
Have you ever noticed those Caribbean places are so relaxed? Like, it's such a different vibe. Like, I always think of the spectrum of urgency.
Yeah.
And like New York is like all the way on this, like go, bustle, blah, blah, blah. Right? Minnesota's probably like a little bit more in the middle. Whereas in like the Caribbeans are so relaxed. I went to like this restaurant before my flight out, and I was like, I only had like an hour left. He's like, don't worry, man. We'll take him. I'm like, don't worry. I gotta go. Yeah.
Right.
He's like, no, everything's going to be fine. You know, go take the jet ski out.
I love that.
Yeah, it is very like, I love it, but it's like, I personally, sometimes I can't. I'm like,
Well, you're not, that's not your mentality.
Yeah. I'm like,
No.
sometimes it's like cool to relax, because I was there for 7 days, and on the 7th day, I was like, I gotta get
Get
I
out
gotta
of here.
get back.
Yeah. It's too much
Still in
relaxing.
emergency.
Yeah,
Right.
too much relaxing. Yeah.
What would you say kind of the favorite spot you've visited where it's something where you can go back again and again and you wouldn't?
Like in the world?
In the world, yeah. Every place. I know you've been to a lot of places. I mean, I was super into the Greece photos you had, because that was one that was, I mean, amazing, beautiful. But what would you say is kind of the spot where it's like, if you had someone listening or watching right now and you could tell them one spot to go to, what would that be?
Lauterbrunnen in Switzerland.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we had Cindy on a couple of weeks ago, and she also lived in Switzerland.
Oh my gosh, I love Switzerland.
Tell us why you love it.
So it is, first off, everybody there is very active. And so I feel like, it just feels like everybody's outside all the time and moving, and not like hustle bustle, but like actively enjoying their life.
Leisure walks.
Yeah.
Which like no one does over here.
Through like mountains though, right? And so there's like Lauterbrunnen, Interlaken, and essentially you're on, when you walk down the road, there's just mountains on every side of you and waterfalls coming down everywhere you look. And it's just so beautiful and awesome.
We got to have Alec throw up a photo of that, because that sounds beautiful.
Yeah, that does sound beautiful.
Yeah, and I went backpacking through Europe after I graduated college with my best friend, and it was the only place we went back to twice, because we were like, oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I follow this page on Instagram where it's just like Switzerland nature beauty, and every time they post, I like it. I'm like, oh, that looks so serene.
Switzerland is amazing.
Yeah, it's like tranquil. It's like serene. It's like just beautiful.
No
like
pollution
untouched.
there or anything like
What'd you
that?
say?
No pollution there or anything like
no,
that? Like
it's-
the streets are pretty clean?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
I am allergic to something there, so both times I went, I broke out in like a crazy rash covering my body.
Oh, wow.
So it was out, and it was like itchy too.
You think it's the water?
I think it's something, because we'd always go hiking in the mountains. I think it's something in the mountains that I was somehow touching.
Mm-hmm.
But both times I went, I was like literally covered head to toe in like a really
Like hives?
nasty rash.
Oh.
It looked kind of just like acne covering my body. So the first time I was like really sad, and at first I was like, I don't want to go. Like, I don't want anyone to see me. I was couch surfing. And so it was kind of like thickened my skin a little, because the guy didn't know me, and I was just like, I was covered in this rash, and I didn't want to go out at first, and I was like, I have to just say whatever, who cares? And no one really cares except for you.
Yeah.
No one
But
cares.
so I grew a little thicker skin, I think, from it.
That's good. See, even though you have some type of allergic reaction there, you're still like, I like that place.
Oh yeah,
I want to
and
go.
it's I just had to figure out what I'm allergic to.
And it was only when you went up to the mountains.
So both times when I went hiking through the Swiss Alps, I got this rash.
Maybe you touched something.
Yeah, it must have been.
Maybe it could have been.
I have the same problem when I go to Arizona. This guy always wants me to go to Scottsdale, Arizona and everything. And I went
It's a
there.
fun time there.
And I get this like hive breakout. And I'm like, I don't know if it's the water or what it is. Like, I'm like,
Yeah, I felt bad for the guy who we were staying with, because when I first woke up and I saw myself, I was like crying, and he was like, "Oh no, you look fine." I was like, "But you don't even know how I'm supposed to look. Like, how can you say that?" And he's like, "Oh, okay, American." Like, oh God.
he's trying to give you that.
He's like, "God, why did I let her stay here?"
Right?
No, Europeans are very hospitable people. They're very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned that you are going to Jamaica tomorrow.
Yep.
That's why we had to rush you in here to get this podcast. Is the Jamaica trip business, personal, more kind of vacation-y, or is that actual conference as well too?
No, so that is actually my husband owns a roofing and siding company, and they buy materials from ABC Supply Company, and if they buy enough materials, they get this paid vacation for him and his other partner that owns the business with him, and then they each get a +1. So
Okay.
Wow.
Wow,
it's my
that's really
first
cool.
all-inclusive vacation.
Oh, that should be fun. So
Yeah.
no like weird tour guides or anything.
No.
It's like legit stuff.
Hopefully not
This
this
will
time.
probably be way more legit.
Yeah.
There was one thing when we went to Mexico too. Like the first thing they told us, like, listen, if someone randomly offers you tour guides or excursions through the jungle or
Do not
this
do
or
it.
that,
Yeah.
don't do
Do
it.
not do it.
Go to like a physical brick and mortar like store.
Or through your hotel.
Or through your hotel,
yeah.
where it's like you can find that person again. It's like, do not go to the street vendors, even though no matter how cheap they say it is. So I was like,
Our second tour that we got when we were in the Bahamas was at what's the name of that restaurant? We were just sitting at a restaurant, like, and our tours kept getting canceled because the weather was so bad. And then this one random guy was walking around, and that's like how we got our tour.
sounds pretty.
Yeah, that's the reason why.
That's why he was walking around.
And we're like, when does it start? He's like, you want to start now? I'm like, sure. Sounds good.
I swear to God, that sounded like our clear kayaking too. Like we just ran it up on some beach, and the guy was like, "Here's clear kayaks. You want to go?" Like, yeah, all right, sure. Whatever happens.
It is, yeah.
Right?
I assume he didn't ask for a review, or did he ask for a tip or anything like that? Because usually those people do.
I don't know, like, where we would have reviewed.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying, because he bought him off the
Nothing
street.
like that, yeah.
There's no, and the whole tip culture is more kind of implied there. It's not, they don't really ask you for a tip like here.
They did. He was standing at the end of like when we walked out,
Yeah.
we did tip him because he was
Yeah.
just there waiting on the dock.
Correct. Well,
Yeah,
that's
like,
like
okay,
that's their whole
okay.
like when I was in Mexico and everything, like they all live off of
Yeah.
tips,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's different here when you're like at a grocery store and the person just like slides a thing at you, like, you want to put a tip, like, for what?
Right.
I'm sorry, I hate like tipping culture here. Like, I'm not a bad tipper. I will tip. What I hate is like when you get just regular service and like they think like I should tip them.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress.
Let's talk about that more.
Yeah. I hate tipping.
Mexico, they earn their tips there, like
Listen.
100%.
I will tip anyone who deserves it.
Yeah.
Put that one out too. So if you give me great service, but if you are doing the minimum of your job and getting paid for it, then
Yeah.
I'm not tipping you. And then again, this new like thing where it's like the Square apps or the electronic ones, and they just spin the thing at you for a tip. I'm like, for what?
They do that on purpose so everyone behind you can see.
Yeah,
like, oh, he did tip.
Yeah. Or it's like, oh, donate to. Again, I'm gonna sound terrible. Donate to like some program or something.
Do you want to Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Where you're like, what is that?
Yeah. You're like, I don't even know where the money's going. It's like, do you want to donate to this foundation? I'm like, if I did, I would do it on my own. I don't need a gas station clerk to tell me to donate. Okay, so kind of staying on the topic of travels, we want to kind of get what your like experiences, knowledge. How do you see that as growth? And have you noticed from traveling anything different in your business practices or anything where, because me and Julian love traveling.
Yes.
And we always think, the best way to learn and see other cultures and even get other business etiquettes is through traveling. Would you say there's any time where you've gone where it's like something's a little bit different in regards to norms or something like that where?
I mean, yeah, I definitely think you can see like societal differences. For me though, I'm not really transacting business when I go to these different countries. I often do like look at properties because I enjoy it. I genuinely have fun doing it. And
You're an investor.
Like, maybe we could get this Airbnb here or something like that. But as far as like doing actual business, I have not done anything like that. So,
but even like, so here's my take on that question, right? Like when I go to other countries like Mexico or whatever, there's like haggling, there's like negotiations in regular like stores, like me buying a cup, like it's like, 20 pesos. I'm like, 10 pesos. And so it's like, there's a different vibe to it.
So I definitely think, and I think a lot of this actually comes from my husband's like shameless negotiating when like literally we negotiate at Menards and it's super embarrassing, but we get all of our doors for like $4. Like, there's a ding
I gotta travel with Mike more.
My old car, my Mitsubishi I had before this car, we were there past closing time, all the doors were locked. It was just like him and I and the manager, and we got that car for so cheap because the guy like just wanted us out of there.
Just go home, please.
Literally, like I go to Mexico and I'm like, okay, thank God Mike fits in here. Like, this was better.
Okay, this is such a double-edged sword.
It reminds me of a guy, Everybody Hates Chris, the dad. Is he like that?
He calculates everything.
And Mike says that his business partner is even more like that than him. So I'm like, God, I could not.
He sounds like my dad. My dad would calculate, like if we left the lights on or something, like he would calculate like that's 28 cents for the day.
Jeez.
What? My dad
was like that too.
My dad is super like that.
Or like if somebody didn't tell him something was gonna be a charge. Like I remember one time he got charged extra like 25 cents for jalapenos, and he's like, "You didn't tell me about this. Like I don't want to pay that."
Yeah.
My dad was not cheap, but it was like the principle.
It's the principle.
It's the principle.
And so the lady was like, "Oh, sorry," and he's like, "Well, then I'm not coming back here for a year." And like we did not go to his favorite Mexican restaurant for a year, and he was like torturing for the year. And then finally we could go back. He like counted down the days.
Hey, he said it. He stood on it though. I respect that. I respect that.
My mentor, I'll never forget this day. I walk into his office and he's shouting on the phone to someone, and it's on speaker, and it's a Capital One representative.
Oh yeah.
And he's shouting to him about $1.05 charge. Mind you, this guy is a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
So he's just like screaming at this guy, like, "What is this $1.05 charge?"
Principle.
It's the principle of it.
And
It's
I
the
love
principle
it.
of
I
it.
love
Yeah.
it. I'm like, yes, whatever the amount, it doesn't even matter.
That's how you stay rich.
Exactly. So Mike fits in well there. So here's my thing, right? And I was telling this to Julian about this too, is like, it's such a double-edged sword because it's like, I feel bad when I go over to these so-called third world countries or countries that are, not economically as powerful as the US or other countries or some Western European countries. But I go there and I haggle with these people over something so small that I never do here. And it kind of hurts me. So I have to learn from Mike to haggle here more and less over there, because it's like me haggling a guy for 20 pesos versus 10 pesos. Yeah. Is that really going to change?
No.
Like my balance of it? Like I'd rather just
right.
give the guy the 20 pesos. you know, he might need it more. So it's like, that's what I've started to think about too. And my mentor kind of helped me. It's like, how come when you go to these countries that actually need the money and the people are poor, you're sitting there trying to like Papa undercut them.
Yeah.
But when you're going to these big box places, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll pay that.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like is when they try to like schmooze you to give you like this good deal, and it's really a ripoff, and you know, and you're like,
I'm not stupid.
For you, lady, beautiful lady. It's like,
they can smell the tourism.
Yeah, like now I'm gonna negotiate.
Oh, they for sure hit you with the beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, always like any girl. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
You need this. Like, no.
No,
I put lotion on your head.
Yeah, let me just like, I don't know. It's that is like the one thing where I'm like, I'm gonna negotiate.
I'm not gonna lie. I fell for that beautiful one once. This guy in Dubai got me so good. He's like, oh, you're handsome man. I like your hair. I was like, all right.
He turned around. Oh, really?
Yeah. Obviously, girls get that way more in this, world we live in.
Yeah, they try buttering you up. So you're like, oh, I am special.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like, God. Oh, see, we're salespeople, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we want to be sold to. I feel like if you do it, like I'm like, oh, okay. Like I know I'm being sold
that was
to.
impressive.
That's
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, it's a respect thing. All right, I'll buy it. Yeah. I don't need it, but I'll buy it.
I swear this guy was like, your style is so nice. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's chat about your beautiful little family. We'll go in the order of the ones you love most to least. So obviously we're going to start with Rocky.
Mike would agree.
I had Mike next. Sorry, Mike.
But we have 3 cats too, right?
Cats.
Oh,
you never see
cats,
those.
No.
See, no, Rocky is like everywhere. He's prominent. Cats are just like that roommate
Rocky
you
comes
never
with
see.
me everywhere.
Yeah, so the cats is like the roommates you never see. It's like
I just can't do cats. I'm a dog guy. I can't. I'm scared. Like it might be at this point. I think I have a cat phobia. I get nervous around cats.
Why?
I don't know. I can be around the biggest dog, Rottweilers, pit bulls, all that. No fear at all. But when I see a cat, I get nervous.
Really?
That's weird. I'm allergic, so that's why I'm trying to stay.
Yeah, that's what I used to tell people. But I mean, like,
no, I get like my eyes get red, watery, like
really?
this. Yeah, like it's bad. So I try to stay.
Well, we keep taking in strays, so that's kind of the issue with the cats.
Maybe because you don't know what a cat's gonna do. Like a dog, you can tell if a dog likes you or not.
So you are not hanging around like the cool cats, though.
The cool cats.
I've been around a ton of cats.
So I think the strays that you take in, one of my cats was shot. One of his legs doesn't work. He had his whole throat was missing.
Wait, he was shot? Who
shot him. Someone who hates cats. People
Really?
shoot cats. Yeah, he was shot.
Oh,
his
I
whole
thought
leg is shattered.
It was deliberate. It wasn't like an accident or anything like that.
Like
Somebody
an
shot
actual
him.
like gun or BB
Yes.
gun or what?
Yes.
Oh,
So his
wow.
whole leg is shattered because somebody shot him. Has like buckshot throughout it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And I own a property in Hinckley, and so I'm part of like a community group there.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw somebody posted looking for like barn animals. And then someone was like, well, I have a stray cat that has like a broken leg you can have, and no one wanted the cat. And then I thought about it for like 3 weeks, and I was like, do you still have that cat?
Yeah.
And then anyways, ended up being like super expensive because the day before, she's like, oh, I found him again when I was going to go meet her, but something happened to his neck and his whole throat was missing. So you could see his esophagus, his jugular veins.
Oh.
And so we had to do like skin graft and like all of this.
Yeah.
And like they had tubes coming out of him. It was like, he's like the most expensive thing I own. And he's like this like ugly, sweet, super fat now, like raggedy cat.
Yeah.
But he's so nice. Like
He's really
so
nice.
He's the sweetest, like most grateful cat. You look at him, he starts purring.
I don't know.
What are your cat names? I didn't even know.
So that cat, my husband was like really sick of me bringing in animals. And so you know how Bane in Batman doesn't have a mouth?
Yeah.
Our cat is Bane because he didn't have a throat.
Oh,
So
okay.
we have Bane.
Okay, I like that.
And then we have Biggie, who's our like other fluffy cat. He was Biggie Meows is his name.
Biggie Meows?
Yeah. And then we have Chesney, who's a barn cat.
Okay. So
yeah. And then
is he
Rocky's-
outside a lot? Tezzy is, since he is a barn
So
cat?
Chesney is the only one we declawed because she's the only one that's like,
Yeah, he get
more
a little
cat.
frisky.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't like the frisky
So those
behavior.
other two can go outside, especially Bane because he was like
Yeah.
running around like a year ago.
Do the cats? I know a lot of people tell me this about cats. Do they like kill rodents and stuff and then bring it to you? It's like, look what I did.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Especially Bane. So we didn't even know we had mice in our house until we brought Bane in, and he like throws them in his food dish, and they keep trying to escape, and he keeps throwing it back in.
Oh.
And then actually, do you guys want to hear like a really hilarious story?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
So Mike and I are friends with, I won't say their names, but like our two probably maybe most fancy friends. And they don't have any kids or any pets, and they just are, they have like a very clean, orderly house. And
when you don't have kids or pets,
So like you come into like our house and you could tell they're like a little panicked because there's like a lot of hair and stuff like that. Well, anyways, so we took them out on our boat, which is pretty old, and like out in the middle of the lake, the boat died. And so we're like paddling back to shore. Well, I am, and one of the other girl, Mike had just dropped it off, so I was like backing it out, and then we were gonna go pick him up. So then anyways, they're like, oh, like nice boat. And so we're like, okay, well, we'll just go to our house and then we'll go out because we can walk to Cowboy Jack's, whatever. So I'm going to run and change because I got all wet.
Yep.
So anyways, they're hanging out in our kitchen, and Mike said that all they can hear is like, and they don't know what it is. They're like, what is that noise? And then they look under our kitchen table, and Bane had half a rabbit under the table. So literally just like the back half of him, and it was like ripping his flesh.
Oh my God.
And apparently the lady was like, I have to go to the bathroom. And she ran downstairs, and like the guy was just like disgusted. And this is like the Animal Planet in our house.
Yeah, it's like blood everywhere, huh?
Yeah.
Oh
That's
my
just
God.
nature taking its course.
Yeah,
And we had no idea this rabbit was in our house. Like, no idea.
Yeah, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you got some pretty aggressive cats. I will not be coming over.
No, they're sweet. They're awesome. So Mike and I met when we both worked at Stella's Fish Cafe, which just closed down. Very sad. In Uptown.
A lot of things in Uptown, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So Stella's was nice.
It was, right?
It was a nice vibe there.
We actually went there the last day before they stopped serving people, so it was like a good vibe.
Bittersweet moment.
Yeah.
They actually had a mouse problem.
Oh, that. You know what? Every single restaurant, almost, I guarantee, has problems like that.
I know. Everyone that tells me that works in the restaurant industry is just like,
I worked at a lot of restaurants.
Yeah.
Stella's was very clean, in my opinion. Like,
they all have it.
I don't even want to tell you about the whole state of New York.
yeah.
Or New York City.
You can throw Chicago. You can throw Chicago in there too. They got rats the size of this water bottle.
That's nothing. They got like New York has rats like anyway, I don't want to talk too much about rats. But, okay, yeah.
But I did, when I saw that video, I was like really saddened by it. I was like, oh, this might put them out of business. Because it was a great restaurant. And like,
it was a fun time.
Anyways, I was a teacher at the time, and so during my summers, I would work at Stella's as like a server, which was really fun. And then Mike was a server there too, and he was doing personal training at the time. So we met, and then he asked me out for like a year, basically. I was dating someone else. I kept like, no, I'm dating someone else. Like, Mike.
Consistency.
Yeah, I was gonna say consistency.
Stick with it, guys.
There you go, Mike.
Stick with it. If you like something, stick with it. This has just turned into like a dating podcast. Give guys dating advice.
It might take a year, but look, you're married now, right?
We are married.
There you go.
Consistency. Hey, shout out to you, Mike.
Yeah, shout out to Mike.
You see how we think alike? Like, shout out to Mike. All right.
Yeah, so then when my ex and I broke up, I was like, okay, I'll go with you now. And then the rest is history there. So, yeah, that was like, oh my gosh. Like, we met 8 years ago, and then we started dating like a little over 7 years ago. And we've been married for like 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
Yep.
2021, right?
Yeah, so we got married, 2020.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah, 2020. Okay.
October.
Yeah, it was towards the end of the year. I
2020.
remember.
Our wedding was scheduled, and then it was the day before COVID. It was supposed to be 3-2-1, so March 21st, 2020, and the day before we had to cancel. Because it was like when everything was happening.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, 2020 in October, or between March and October, like that was everything was shut down.
It got rescheduled on us a few times, and then finally we're like, all right, well, we're gonna get married, and we just did it at my mom's house, and it was awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, so we had like big tents out, and we invited people, and we're like, if you want to come. If you don't. Like, do whatever you want. And it was so fun. We had a mechanical bull there, and it was honestly like perfect. So
nice. Well, yeah, you still did it, because I know a lot of people postponed their wedding.
Well, I was going to talk to you because they did postpone something.
Yeah.
It was their honeymoon. I remember talking to you.
Well, we did postpone our wedding too.
Yeah, you did postpone.
Yeah.
But I think what I admired, right? When I was talking to you originally, like, you're like, Emron, I'm not going to my honeymoon right now because you guys were building and doing your jobs or working.
Yeah.
Right. And you guys had the foresight to like, let's put that off for right now and we can enjoy it later. And I wanted to put this in here because a lot of people, especially women, it's like, it has to come after the wedding. Whereas I'm more like, when we can do it, right? It's more important to be financially set than to go. How was that conversation? Did you bring it up or him, or were you both kind of in line with like?
Initially, when we were supposed to get married in March, we did have a honeymoon planned in Thailand. And that was one of the first places that was hit with COVID. And so that was canceled even well before our wedding. And then we're like, well, we'll just like go to Colorado or something, which we ended up going for a couple of days to Colorado, but it wasn't like a honeymoon, I would say. It was more like just a trip. Like,
because you ended up doing your honeymoon in Greece.
No, Hawaii.
Hawaii
was our honeymoon. Greece was just
still nice.
Yeah,
still nice.
So anyways, and then we got it was just like the practical thing. It wasn't either of us really pushing for it had to work with both of our businesses, and we wanted to have like a solid week that was really a good week for everybody. And actually it was supposed to be a week before that even, and then one of my real estate coaches was coming to the cities, and so we pushed it a week back so that I could like see him when he came. And it was, both of us are not super structured with that sort of thing. As long as it happens, we're happy. So
okay,
you're both on the same page with it, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, that's good. That's how a good healthy relationship should be, because sometimes there's people just like, I want to go on my honeymoon, I don't care. It's like, okay. I also see a lot of photos of you guys at sporting events. Now, are you a sports fan, or is Mike the sports fan and drags you along?
So Mike is trying to force me to be a Vikings fan. He keeps buying me Vikings apparel.
That's very good of you, Mike. We need to have Mike on this show. Yeah, we need to have Mike.
It's the wrong time for anything Vikings.
I'm from Wisconsin, so like technically I'm a Packers fan.
No.
Honestly,
this episode has been deleted.
Yeah. Cancel.
I don't really enjoy watching any sports on television, but I love going to sporting events.
Yeah, they're fun.
Because I saw you guys at the Vikings game, Yankee Stadium, Twins games.
Yep.
So, and I was like, I'm sure
we like
Mike.
hockey a lot.
Yeah. Mike
you
is
go to Wild too?
thing.
Yep.
Wild games?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
I was like, I feel like Mike is a sports fan and it kind of drags you along, but you like the events.
So I do not watch them on TV.
Yeah.
Mike sometimes watches football, but not like
He's
super
not avid,
consistently either. He plays on fantasy leagues, and that's like the reason why he
most likely when the Vikings are playing, he'll watch that, but he doesn't
if
care
it's
the other.
convenient.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So-
Gotcha. Okay. Well, we want to talk to you a little bit about, going before you went to Stella's and everything, right? Your school. You studied at the U of M.
Yep, my undergrad.
What'd you study? Was it English?
Yeah, so initially I went to school to be a veterinarian.
Okay.
And so I was in like animal sciences and chemistries, that sort of thing. And then I was like, I really want to work with people.
Yeah.
And so then I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I couldn't really peg what I wanted to do. Like I think a lot of 18, 19-year-olds.
Yeah, right.
And my dad always was telling me I should be in business. I was like, no, I would never want to be in business. I don't know why. And so then anyways, I ended up getting an English degree because I wanted to help kids basically. So I had tutored at a homeless shelter, and I was like, I could go into like a really hard, difficult school district and like help a lot more. And so then it wasn't honestly like what I...
It wasn't like the movies.
What
like,
you envisioned?
It wasn't what I envisioned.
What was that movie with like Jennifer Garner where she goes to like the inner city schools, changes all their lives? It wasn't that?
Not for me. I had some... It was hard, and it wasn't...
I bet.
Yeah, and so then
from a student of public schools on the other side, I know.
Yeah.
Well, you went to Minneapolis. I was in St. Paul. So,
yeah, which both are terrible.
Yeah, they're both pretty bad.
So my last year I taught at Mounds View, actually middle school instead of high school. And that was definitely, I would say like in some ways easier with with certain things, but it just wasn't really, like, I knew it wasn't what I wanted to be doing. And so I thought I would do real estate part-time and still be a teacher part-time. And then realized that when I started doing real estate, I just loved it. It was just so much more for me, and there's so much more freedom. I remember my first lunch, like, just being able to go out and get lunch and, like, come back whenever I wanted. It was, like, weird to me. Because as a teacher, you can't even have your phone out. Like, you're basically on student rules. And so it was so much freedom, and it was like, this is amazing. And I still
Can we ask what high school you taught at?
So I was, my first year, I was at a charter school in Brooklyn Park, and that was Brooklyn Center Secondary School, which is a 6 through 12 school, and then Mounds View, Chippewa. You
need a master's for high school, don't you?
So I have a master's degree.
Okay.
But you don't need a master's.
Oh, really? Okay. I don't know why I was under that impression that you needed it for high school.
Where'd you get your master's?
Hamlin.
Oh,
yep.
nice.
So I went to Hamlin part-time while I was working full-time, and then got my master's degree, and then I was done about a year later.
Gotcha. Well, you kind of answered my question. I was like, well, what was your original idea? And, I was like many college kids get disenfranchised and want with their majors and decide to do other things. And so it sounds like that's how you entered in real estate. But going into a little bit more detail, how did that come about?
Yeah. So growing up, my parents owned a residential portfolio of student rentals. So every summer, there was like a period where all the students would move out before the new ones moved in, and we'd go and we'd clean, and I'd work with them, and my siblings did as well. And that was what I grew up seeing. That was not their only business. My dad had an asbestos abatement company too, but they had these student rentals. And then my dad sold his company, and then they focused on the real estate. So I saw that growing up, and then as a teacher, I was not pulling in the income that I wanted because I've always traveled. But I just wanted to be able to feel a little like less stressed about it.
It's hard to do that on a teacher salary.
For sure. And so basically, my plan was to buy a duplex and live in half and then rent out the other half. And
house hacking.
Yep, house
exactly.
hacking. Yep.
And so probably put in like 15 offers or so with my realtor at the time, Judd. And he was awesome. And he was like, we kept trying, but I never got one accepted. And it was like a long, arduous process. And I mean, he put in so many offers for me. And so that anyways, I remember one time after we were done with the showing, he was like, you really should become a real estate agent. He was like, join my team. And so I was like, well, I'm a teacher. And he was like, well, I'll tell you what, like, I'll answer your phone calls and stuff while you're teaching, and you can do it part-time. And I was like, okay, well, that might work. And so then that summer I taught summer school, and then I was also doing real estate with Judd at Coldwell Banker, actually. And I just loved it. So, yeah.
Gotcha. How long did it take you to transition away from teaching, right? Because teaching is a salaried W-9 position, right?
Yep.
You are getting paid on either biweekly or monthly.
Yep.
For the whole year, right? So in the summertime, you had more.
Whereas in real estate,
the summer. So actually for me, I was really fortunate because I didn't have like really much savings set aside or anything, but when I got my last paycheck from teaching, I think it was like August. And then I remember exactly 2 weeks later was when I got my first commission check. And so I never really skipped a beat where I was like, okay, I can make it, you know?
That's good.
So I was fortunate enough to be getting that pay through the summer while I was like starting my career in real estate as a realtor.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there's some teachers watch this and they can also, join the industry and talk to one of us.
Yeah,
I think teachers make great real estate agents. I know quite a few that have made the transition over from teaching.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're explaining things to kids, it's the same as trying to explain to some people.
Well, that and then just the patience too.
Yeah.
You have to have a great deal of patience. I mean, we've talked about that in this industry, and we tell our new agents that as well. And I think teachers are great.
And teachers go home with their work too. It's not like you're in a 9 to 5 and you're just completely done. So like, the idea of having to be drafting purchase agreements and doing showings at night. I was a coach also when I was a teacher, so I didn't go from like having these, 6-7 hours of the day that are completely free, because I never had that.
Yep.
And then my summers supposedly were supposed to be free, but every summer I was working to try to like earn enough income to support myself. And Yeah, so I think it was an easy transition. My first broker, I remember saying a lot of teachers become real estate agents and are very successful because I think we just we're hard workers generally.
Yeah. They tend to either teach and do serving or thing, which also makes great
servers make great real estate agents as
bartenders,
well. Yeah, bartenders too. Because you're dealing with people all day, every day.
So switching to a topic that I was talking to Mike about, we've heard that you're in the process to get your pilot license.
Yep.
And we've heard you had a pretty big scare on one of your outings. Can you tell us about this? Because I was talking to Julian about this earlier today, and he said he would never, ever fly with you. And I was like, yeah. And I know. Yeah.
Well,
just to throw you under the bus. Which is funny.
Saying that.
I'll never fly with you either, thank you.
Which is funny because I told him, I was like, it didn't have anything to do with her. He's like, I don't know, man. I'm already scared of flying.
So, yeah, it was honestly not as scary as you would think. It was an alternator failure.
Yeah, it sounded way scarier.
Yeah, so, but the Cirrus has a backup alternator.
Okay.
So, I actually have had 2 alternator failures in a Cirrus. So, it was my business partner, Rafik, and we were flying out. At this time we were looking at a shopping center, and I think it was Kansas City, I think. Mm-hmm. And anyways, we were on our way back, and all of a sudden, we have essentially alternator failure. And so what their alternator does is essentially it's like all power and communications and everything. So the lesson before this actually happened to me, my emergency landings and procedures lesson. And so it's kind of cool to see actually what we did in real life, because when we radioed in, they like put us essentially on hold, and we're like, no, we have alternator failure. And suddenly like nothing else mattered. And we had all these people communicating with us, because in their mind, we were going to lose like all communications. And so they made sure that like this small little airport was free for us, and told us, the distance and everything like that of this airport. And then we had to pull out all of the fuses and stuff like that to try to conserve as much power as we could for our airplane. Rafik was sleeping during this. So then like right before we landed, I woke him. I was like, hey, we had to like emergency land. Our alternator's out. And he was like, what? And so then we landed. It was fine. Like nothing, we landed just fine. Yeah. And we called this, there was like a small, tiny, I think it was called like, God, what was the name of the city? It was like Jeffersonville or something like that, Missouri. Mm-hmm. And we landed in this tiny little rinky-dink airport, and there's like a number tacked into a bulletin board, like call for airport or like airplane issues. So we call this guy, and he shows up in like this rusty old truck, and he gets out and he looks at our airplane, and he's like, well, I think I got it so you can get back. And we're like, okay.
Yeah.
So cool. So we made it back, and I mean,
surprised Rafik went on the plane with you. Like, I'm just gonna drive.
Well, we all really wanted to get back, and who was it? I think either Mike and I or Rafik had to leave the next day. We didn't want to get stuck there.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah. So anyways.
All right, that doesn't sound that bad.
It wasn't so scary. He literally was like sleeping through it.
Okay. It wasn't like in the movies, you know what I mean? Yeah. The propeller caught on fire, and then
No.
My question, I guess, is what made you want to get your pilot license?
So my dad was a pilot.
Oh,
and so he had a Bonanza, and he used it for work, but then we would also take it as a family. And so I grew up with that, which was really awesome. Mm-hmm. I didn't even realize as a kid like how awesome it was. Sometimes like they'd be like, oh, we're gonna go to Florida this weekend or whatever, and we'd be like, no, we want to hang out with our friends. I'm like, now thinking back, I'm like, God, so annoying probably, right? Like these parents are trying to be like, oh, this is so cool, and the kids are like,
we don't care.
Sleepover,
yeah, we don't care. We want to hang out with our friends.
Yeah. That's kids. Yeah, that's kids.
So anyways, and then I have these properties throughout the Midwest, and I'm literally like growing into my car seat, I swear. I'm just, my sciatic nerve is kicking up, and I just don't want to be sitting driving for so long. So it just makes sense timing wise. And a lot of my properties are not near major airports either. And so to be able to fly into like a smaller airport where these big airliners can't go and just land, you get a free pilot car when you land. So you just take the car and you can go look at your property, come back, and it just saves so much time.
Yes. So that is the business mind that you have is
Yeah.
the time, because everyone who is a business, anyone who gets a private jet or this or that, it's all about the time. It's never about the jet or this or that, whatever, the trinket. It's how can I save time?
And so much time too, rather,
Yeah.
you know, like, and you sit at the airport for 2 hours before you get on your plane, and it keeps getting delayed, and then you have meetings and you can't
Gotta
count
take
on
off all
them,
your clothes and
yeah,
put it in.
yeah, it's just
Hotels, you have
Yeah.
to figure that out. It's a
Exactly.
lot. It's a lot that goes on.
So being able to just go right next to wherever it is that I need to go and just be there for the day, and it just makes the most sense.
So you brought up Rafik Moore, for those of you who don't know. Would you say he's your business partner and / mentor?
Yep.
Right?
Yep, 100%.
How did you two meet? How did that relationship start?
So he's awesome. For anybody who doesn't know him,
He's
like,
big time in commercial real estate.
Yeah, and he's helped me to grow in my career immensely. Definitely, like, I would say one of the people who's changed my life for the better in the biggest way. Just like a really good advocate for people and a good guy. So anyways, I was working with some Russian investors, and I was at the time, this was probably three and a half years ago now. And I was helping them to find houses to flip. And so basically my job was to find like the house and then kind of figure out how much we think it would cost and then what it would sell for. And I was like their agent there. Well, he was financing their deals. And so he was like their money guy. And so anyways, they had brought me up to him, how they really liked working with me. And I had worked with them for a couple of months. And then he asked them if he could like interview me for being his like residential agent at Caspian.
Yep.
And so then, anyways, I went, interviewed with him, and then thought he was really cool, and seemed like a really good person. And so then started doing residential deals with him, and then from there we started partnering together. And so we started, our first property was a fourplex, and then we bought, sold that, got another fourplex, sold that, and then essentially he was like, he kind of gave me the confidence to do the work.
Yep.
And helped me to get the financing too. So other than one time I always brought in my half of the down payment. He did at one of the times borrow the money to me. But other than that, I always did that. But he was able to help me get way better loans and give me credibility really with lenders that I didn't really have at the time. So suddenly they were taking me seriously because I was working with him, which was really nice. And I had been a realtor for a little over 2 years, but as you know, when you first start, it's really hard to get financing too. So, we just kind of.
I think that's the hardest part, like you said, is the start to build that credibility and partnering or mentoring or bringing value to someone like Rafik really gives you an edge and a foot up.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that. So I had like some investment properties prior to meeting him, but just meeting him, even like he's given me so much confidence, and to be able to have a partner that really has done it all and is way more experienced. And
has the experience. The value is more important than how much money he's going to give you for the deal, because then you know how to navigate through this one and more. Experience is something you can't put a dollar on.
Yeah, we'll throw up the Caspian logo and a very nice photo of Rafik up here.
Yeah, we got to get Rafik and Jay to come down here.
We'll find the best photo Rafik has and put it up there. Yeah. We are going to talk about her just recently becoming a new broker in real estate.
Congratulations, by the way.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yes, you recently opened your own real estate brokerage.
Yep.
The name Financially Free LLC.
Yep.
Okay. How did you come up with that name? Was it just kind of it rolls off the tongue?
So actually, when I decided to open my own brokerage, it was like one of the first ones I thought of because I was like, oh, that rhymes. And I looked it up and I was like, oh, no one has the name. And I just sent it to, Mike was like, asked me what I was thinking about calling it. And I was like, well, I thought of this. Haha. And he was like, oh, I love that. Yeah. And then he's like, it was just kind of easy.
I'm surprised, no one has taken that.
No one has.
And I like the idea of it is more of life freedom, like to have essentially investments, and to be working with people to grow, invest their portfolio, or have a few investments for teachers and people like for example, my sister's still a teacher. She just got her second, well, I guess her third property, her second investment property yesterday. But to be able to have that extra income to give you some sort of freedom, and that's really what I want to be doing, is working with people who are looking to invest and start to grow in a way where they feel like they're not just so tied to their job.
So that was the reasons behind starting that brokerage, to be a little bit more geared towards investor clients, or getting people set on that path.
So I really want to, and I'll work, I primarily do only work with investors, but it doesn't have to be like big time investors. I mean, I have quite a few friends now who have just like a couple of duplexes, and I think it's just a really good way to have, passive income. And I really love seeing when people get something like this, and it's not rocket science. Like, anybody can be a landlord. So I think it's just a really good, I guess it's been really helpful for me and my parents, and I've seen it help a lot of people's lives. And so that's what I'm looking to do. Yeah.
Do you have a team now? Do you have people in your group in the brokerage? Do you have any agents? Yep.
Okay. I have one agent right now, and then I have a couple others who are getting their license, who are already investors, but like on the contractor house flipping side. And then I have somebody who's helping me with broker admin work, and then an accountant who I had before as well.
Perfect. Yep. We'll have Alec throw up the logo there for Financially Free LLC. Transitioning from that to commercial real estate, which I feel is a very exclusive group. Mainly when I look at commercial real estate, the top tier ones for the most part, it's very family business, right?
Yeah.
It's usually the grandfather to the father to the son, and so forth and so on. A lot of nepotism.
Yeah.
How did you break into that commercial sphere, especially it being mostly a male-dominated field in commercial real estate?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that, because when I first started as just an agent, I was working, my brother's an investor, and he had a commercial deal and he wanted me to represent him on it. And so anyways, I was working with him on it, and the broker on the other side tried to like slice my commission, and he was like, she should be happy with just that. Like, and I was like, who are these commercial agents? Like, and these, I tried having these conversations, and a lot of them were really like rude to me.
Yes,
and thought they were way better than me. And I was like, what is this? Like, who are these dudes? I don't, what?
Commercial real estate is a whole nother world than residential real estate. And there
straight numbers.
Well, not just that, like you were saying, there's a very
no one knew who I was, and I didn't have, but it was my brother, it was my client. He's not going to be okay with this, and it was very interesting. And then actually, when I transitioned to Caspian, I remember first meeting Marshall, who was like broker of the year. He's awesome. Yeah. And he was so nice, and like I honestly expected everyone there to be like noses up to me.
Yeah.
And I was a little intimidated, and everyone was just like so nice. I was like, oh, like this is great. I actually like really
this is the environment I would want to be in.
Yeah, this environment that was created. And so then, once you start doing a little more, people start taking you seriously, and you maybe know how to word things a little bit better and stuff like that. But
the terminology.
Yeah, breaking into it as a residential agent, I was like pretty turned off in the beginning. Yeah. And that was just on the brokerage side. Now I have quite a few investments myself on the commercial side. And, it was, for me, I remember the first time, because I had started building a residential portfolio. And I actually remember like a couple of years ago, Rafik sent me a shopping center, like a strip mall. And he was like, would you want to partner with me on this? And I literally like laughed him out of the room. I was like, are you kidding me? Like a mall? What? And so then it took a while. And then actually like a year later, I found my first one. And I showed it to my brother first, and it's a 77,000 square foot shopping center in Eau Claire, which as of today will have 100% occupied.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. So, congrats.
Yeah. So anyways, it took like some time until I built up my confidence. And I started with residential and then apartments, and they got bigger and bigger, and then it became mixed use. And then I did buy my first like small, it was a 5-unit commercial. And it just happened to be that when I was buying these mixed use buildings, the same agent had this other one that they were trying to sell. And, so then I bought that. But really it felt like I built my way up to it, which I do think a lot of people do that. Not many people start right with commercial. A lot of people start with house flips.
Unless, again, it's the nepotism, right? It's the family type business thing. That's the only ones that I see where it's like grandfather to father to son, where the majority, the Rafik, you and stuff, you kind of have to more break into it. And it is a little bit tougher because here you have this guy whose great-great-grandfather ran commercial real estate, and then, it just gets passed on. Correct. The name's known. They have a Rolodex of people. So it tends to be a little bit easier for them to break into that sphere. And then kind of getting into it being a male-dominated business for the most part, because we were talking recently in the real estate agent residential world, that's a female-dominated business.
Yes, it is dominated by females, but it's completely opposite when you go over to the commercial side.
Especially in the investing in commercial real estate. How would you say how you navigated that, and not only that, but then what would you say to encourage other women to look into investing, not only just residential, but commercial, being those big-time players?
I mean, definitely I see it. I'm aware of it. But I don't think about it, I would say. I've had very few times so I think a lot of it is in your head, right? You have a few rude people and you're like, oh gosh,
Is everyone like that? Yeah.
But then, like I said, I went to a different brokerage and everybody was very nice. And I think I've had some, for one, I started knowing people that gave me some credibility, and I started having, I could send them a real estate schedule where people are like, okay, she's serious.
Knows what she's doing.
But if somebody sees it as a disadvantage for me, or like I'm less competent because I'm a woman, that's their disadvantage. Yeah. So I actually only one time have been like, gosh, this guy is like super sexist, and we ended up being able to get $300,000 off before closing because I was like, I'm just a poor, stupid little girl, basically. And honestly, it was like, we're like, if he's going to be like this, then I'm going to use it. And
to your advantage,
If it gets you $300,000 off, I'm a poor, stupid little girl too.
Well, good luck trying for that.
If it gets me $300,000 off,
I remember like when I said, right before I was like, because it was the deal I was doing with Rafik, I was like, my partner, like I can't do without him. And, he really doesn't want to like waste his time on this, and he thinks it's too much. And I really want to, but like I can't. And
it's a good cop, bad cop thing.
And I'm like this like meek little loser to him who can't do anything on her own. So we literally got $300,000 off of a $600,000 purchase price.
Jeez.
So that was significant.
What an idiot.
If somebody is dumb enough to see it as a disadvantage, then
no, of course we don't think about it. Similar to me and Julian, we never think about it, but it is an overlying thing there. And
it's
some
a real
people
thing.
And some people do, obviously when you're in it, you don't think about it as much, but some people, they have that stop them from even getting into it.
Yeah, they see it as a barrier, and
correct.
It's intimidating. And
correct, right? And especially when you don't have the confidence or the credibility or someone to give you that credibility.
Yeah, something else too, like over the years have decided I am literally not going to try to like impress anybody. I go around and I bring my dog and I'm myself, like making jokes, laughing at myself, and usually people like it, and if they don't, then like I'm not the one with the stick in my butt. So I don't really, it's, I don't know.
Oh, well.
And that's the best way. I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's just be yourself. Just be yourself. There'll be people that like you. There'll be people that don't like you. And that's okay.
Yeah. Everyone's just, I mean, I don't know. I just think it doesn't have to, I don't like it to scare me off, I guess.
Of course.
And you shouldn't. What advice would you give someone that's trying to break into the commercial industry?
Regardless of gender, by the way.
Regardless, can be boy, young, old, girl, whatever.
It's no different. I would say, just do your research on the property and understand what you have to do. For me, I always buy properties I'm going to stabilize. So I'm looking for value add. So I run my numbers, and honestly, it's the same numbers I'm running in a lot of ways as residential. Like, what am I going to do to the property? What are the rents going to become?
Yeah. You are very value add. I know when the transactions we've done, you're always value add.
Yeah, I'd never buy stabilized properties.
Yeah. So it's never like a park your money type situation. It's always the value add and what you can add to it, what you and Mike together can add to it.
How many properties do you have now?
I have right around 250 doors of residential, and then I have...
Say that again? 200 what?
Around 250 doors of residential.
Jeez, we
and
gotta give a clap to that. That's big time. That's big time.
I'm trying to get rid of them. And then I have 2 strip malls. We're closing on our 3rd soon, February 15th. And then I have a few smaller commercial buildings.
Well done.
Nice. Well done. And how many years have you been in real estate?
Almost 5.
5 years.
Yes, so it'll very doable, guys.
Yeah.
So when I just have to touch on this point real quick, because when she said, I'm trying to sell them off, I promise you, once you get into residential real estate and investing in residential real estate, you'll know exactly why she said that statement.
Yeah, a lot of them are ones that you guys sold me. I'm like, God, get rid of these. It's just
the ones you negotiated us down 300,000. I think you played that trick on me, the old poor little girl.
She probably got you too.
She probably got me.
No, I really enjoy the triple net tenants.
I swear, I used to love it because she would call me. She's like, hey, I need this much off and I need this much for me. And I was like, what? But no, we would get the deal done. I love when I have a tough negotiator. And I love the person that can negotiate it without the emotionals or the personal, taking it personally.
Yeah,
that
it's never meant to be rude.
Yeah. It's always like, hey, I'm obviously looking out for me and my client's best interest, and you're looking out, and I completely get that. And if you don't, then that's a weird thing.
I also do think, I've noticed, sometimes you put in an offer and it's offensive to people.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be offensive. Yeah. There's so many, I've had a lot of times where I'm like, I would love to just get an offer. I can work with people. I think always be willing to work with an offer if you're trying to get rid of something.
Exactly.
I can't stand when agents get butthurt when you submit an offer and they're just like, no, how am I supposed to show this to my client? Well, buddy, you got to do your due diligence.
You want me to come with you? I can help you.
Yeah. I'll just go straight to your client and get you out of the picture.
Yeah, which is okay. It's you can say yes, you can say no.
Yeah.
This
you can counter me.
Correct.
Exactly.
And when I do those type of offers, I explain where I'm coming from. I don't just throw the offer at them. I'm like, hey, this is why
100%.
XYZ is why I'm coming at this price. And sometimes, it works. I don't know if that's also like a Midwestern thing or like a Minnesota thing where it's like they do take it personally or something. And I kind of get it if it's a sentimental thing where it's like, I've lived in this house and my grandparents and blah, blah, blah.
Most of the time it is sentimental.
Yeah, see? Whereas where ours is more business mind, and it's like...
Yeah, but I've had people be like, let me know when you're ready to offer something serious. You know what I mean? I'm like, well...
That was serious. I wouldn't write it up if it wasn't.
Please, yeah.
That was it.
I wouldn't take my time to write it if I wasn't serious.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Okay. All right. Well, kind of moving on from that, we want to wrap up, but I know Julian always likes to ask our guests this question, and so I'll have him take it away to ask her the question that is Julian's staple question.
I think it's a great question.
It is a great question. That's why I like.
So what would you tell your younger self?
Your younger self before you went on your backpack trip to Europe. You just graduated college. We built a hot tub time machine for you.
Ooh, hot tub time machine.
Yes.
And this could be in business or personal.
Yeah, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be necessarily business or thing. Or you could just say, hey, keep doing what you're doing and you'll figure it all out.
So I would say that I would tell myself, this sounds very simplistic, but don't worry about it. You know what I mean? There's constantly issues that are coming up, and as I get more and more properties and investments and everything like that, I'm noticing more problems. Like
more money, more
suddenly
problems.
You're a bigger target, and I'm now starting to finally see why people like my mentors, when there's lawsuits or something like that, where it's like, okay, well, like we'll work through this, and you can't lose sleep over things you can't control.
No.
Yeah, control what you can control.
Exactly. And another thing, 100%, I've kind of like decided this is how I want to live, something I want to live by. I never want to be the reason why I'm not sleeping at night. Like, as long as it's not because of something I've done that I'm not sleeping, it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, I don't ever want to be like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or feeling bad about something that I've done. So never be the reason why you don't sleep at night. I would tell that to myself, and then I need a third one. I guess I'd tell myself to make sure to hang out with my family a lot. So, yeah.
Good.
My dad's not here anymore. He's awesome, so that's so important. I feel like since I lost my dad, I see my mom all the time, and like family is not there forever.
Yeah.
And people, no one's there forever. So
Yeah.
I think just.
So give flowers to the people you love while they're here.
And give them time.
Yeah.
Because it's more important than business.
No, 100%. And it's sad that it has to come to a point where something is gone before we realize how important it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to call my mom after this, guys.
Yeah, talk to your mom and dad while they're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, like, my dad was sick for a while. So it was like, I knew it's not like I didn't know it was coming, but you don't know how long you're going to have with someone when they're healthy too. Like taking the time to appreciate what you have and enjoy your life, not just work.
Yeah. I think me and Julian, it's funny, like just a couple of hours ago, we were talking about death, which is a real weird subject to talk. It's like a taboo subject, but it's like the only guarantee in life is death.
Yeah.
It's like the one guarantee and we taxes. All have.
Well, and as you get older too, not taxes. Yeah,
taxes.
Some people can avoid those.
Yeah, that's.
IRS, look at it. You didn't see it for me. I didn't get it for me.
Hey, if the president at one point could pay $700, I think I can too. No, but yes. So it was the one guarantee, and we, I was talking to him because it kind of came up off of the whole flight thing. Yeah. Right. Whereas like then we kind of got into the topic of death and everything like that, and we're like, well, what is there to be afraid of? It's going to happen. So it's like this whole, like, I'm not going to live because I'm going to die is a stupid way to think about it.
Oh, yeah. You can't be scared living through your whole life because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. It's like, and then it's like, well, the whole, like, and then this comes back into business too, is like a risk taker. To me, I'm like, well, risk can be anything, because if you're not taking risk, then you're sitting in your bed all day, because the second you turn on your car and you go drive, that is a risk.
100%.
Yeah. You know how many car accidents happen? Do you know how many people die off car accidents? Blah, 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 all this, all that. Is that not a risk?
Right.
So, I don't know.
Most everything that's fun or exciting is a risk.
Correct. So, even in business too. So, with that note, we're going to end the podcast. Is there anything you would like to tell the viewers, listeners, anything you have coming up, anything you want to tell them, or should we just sign off here?
Well, thank you. It was very fun. It's a very nice office here. Everyone come check it out.
Yes.
Parking sucks, but other than that. So, not much.
Well, I'm going to pitch you and Rafik to buy that parking lot, so then we guys
we can get at least a discount for how much we pay.
Yeah. He used to own the building right over here.
Yes.
Bolvino's. Or the condo.
Yeah. We ate there. Very good food. And Jay, who works at Caspian too, is the one who kind of helped them with their lease over there.
Yeah.
So Caspian.
Nice. Small world.
Yep. And then we'll have lunch when you get back from Jamaica at, lo and behold, Caspian.
Caspian Bistro.
Caspian Bistro, for those of you who don't know, the Caspian brokerage. And I was super surprised when you told me you haven't ate at Caspian Bistro, which I was like, what?
Yeah, I didn't know they had a restaurant.
Well, totally unaffiliated.
Totally, yeah, they're not affiliated whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah, so one is a commercial real estate brokerage. The other is a Persian restaurant and grocery store. So
gotcha. Okay.
We'll go there sometime. Yeah. But again, thank you everyone for coming and listening and watching episode 7 with Alexandra Haider. She is a big time real estate investor. Please comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, anything you want to know from us or her, we can always have her reach out or come back for another episode. Please just leave us a comment. All right, you guys. Thank you.
See
have
ya.
a good one.